Hello and welcome to another episode of the American series. I'm the stick figure historian, and it sounds like someone's been messing with the sound controls again. Arg. Okay, can we speed it up, please?
Ahem. Thank you. So, in the last episode, we saw Santa Anna come and invest the Alamo. And he started off with the lovely terms of no prisoners. And of course, Travis blew off the cannon to show him he didn't give a fig about it. But Bowie thought that Travis was being too hasty and wasting any chance they had of negotiating actual terms. So he sent a messenger to talk with the Mexicans. And as we see here, even the grave danger of the Mexican army couldn't bring unity to the two commanders of the Alamo. Because when Travis found out that Bowie was trying to work out terms with the enemy against his wishes, he was not happy. He couldn't stop Bowie's messenger, but he could at least show him up by sending one of his own. The two messengers actually reached the Mexican camp at the same time. It must have been a bit of an awkward moment for them, but they put the differences of their commanders aside and got down to business. It was probably comforting to have a companion on this risky mission. The Mexican officers that they met with were civil fellows, but they said that Santa Anna was willing to work out no terms except unconditional surrender. This meant that the Mexican dictator could not only take the Texans' fort, but he could also take away their weapons and even their lives if he wanted to. But the Texans couldn't even know what he wanted to do until after they had surrendered. You can see that this was a very unchivalrous thing to try and force them to do. Unconditional surrender is a tactic that only bullies employ. Well, it's not surprising that the Texans decided not to take up Santa Anna on his offer. For once, Travis and Bowie actually found that they could agree on something. They ordered the Alamo's great cannon to be fired again as a signal of defiance. This was February 23rd, 1836, the first day of the battle for the Alamo. The Mexican cannons began inching nearer and nearer to the limestone walls, pounding them with round after round of shot. The Texans tried to give as good as they got, even picking up the Mexican balls and firing them right back into the enemy camp. It is strange that no one was actually killed in all that firestorm. Nonetheless, the Texans took a very hard hit during this time, in another sense. Bowie took sick. What he was ill with, no one is quite sure. Some guess that it may have been pneumonia. Whatever the case, it was rather serious, for it took the fight clean out of one of the toughest men in North America. He lay flat on his back on a cot, burning with fever. Travis was going to have to face this colossal challenge alone. He had under 200 soldiers to face the Mexican army's 2,000, a ratio of 1 to 10. He may have been afraid, but he never once showed that he was. He wrote many letters for help back to Houston and the fledgling Texan government, but this is the greatest of those which has survived. To the people of Texas and all Americans in the world, fellow citizens and compatriots, I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans under Santa Anna. I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours, and have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion. Otherwise, the garrison are to be put to the sword if the fort is taken. I have answered the demand with cannon shot, and our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. Then, I call on you, in the name of liberty, of patriotism and everything dear to the American character, to come to our aid with all dispatch. The enemy is receiving reinforcements daily, and will no doubt increase to 3,000 or 4,000 in 4 or 5 days. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible, and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death. On the second day of the cannon storm, a few hundred Mexican soldiers managed to make a sprint up to the Alamo and take shelter in some abandoned shacks clustered against the walls. But they didn't get to keep that foothold for long. The Texans sallied out and burnt the shacks right down, all while their friends on the wall above kept watch with rifles to pick off anyone who tried to stop them. It was only on the third day of the cannon storm that Travis finally ordered the Texans to quiet the guns. They were running out of powder and shot, and with what little damage the cannons were doing anyway, it would be best to reserve it for a better purpose. Meanwhile, a rescue team had flocked into Gonzales to answer Travis's heroic plea. They were just waiting for Fannin to come and join them from Goliad. Fannin had planned to be there quite a bit earlier, but as often happens, things take more time than people first imagine. He must have been glad when at last his 300 men did get on the move. They had just crossed the San Antonio River, with Goliad growing smaller and smaller behind them, when several of the wagons broke down. Wagons laden with heavy supplies. Everything had to be taken out and the wheels repaired. And since they had left late in the day, there wasn't even enough time to get all the wagons fixed and reloaded before the sun went down. Supper that night was sparse, due to the lack of their most crucial supply, and in the night, several teams of oxen needed to pull the wagons wandered off. Fannin was utterly disheartened. No one is sure if it was he or his officers that ordered the relief force to turn around and go back to Goliad. But the group waiting in Gonzales didn't know that Fannin had turned around. They still sat impatiently waiting for him. And Travis paced the officers' quarters of the Alamo, waiting for all of them. He grew so impatient that at last, on the 27th, he sent a messenger to go tell the reinforcements to hurry up.